Good afternoon and welcome to Day 3, Session 1 of our local candidate interviews on WFJA and WWGP Radio, brought to you by Sandhills Broadcasting and Brick Capital Video. We are here in the studio at WFJA. I'm John Ramsperger and your host for today's Lee County Sheriff candidate interviews. Before we begin with our first interview, I remind our listeners that this afternoon, these interviews will air live on WFJA and WWGP, as well as stream on the WFJA website. Videos of the candidate interviews will post on the WFJA website as well. So candidates for Sheriff of Lee County are Democrat Carlton Lyles, Republican Brian Estes, and Republican Tim Smith. We're going to start today's interviews with Lee County Sheriff with Democratic candidate Carlton Lyles. And Carlton, welcome to WFJA and our candidate interviews.
Well, one thing I want to say, thank you very much for inviting me here today. And this is a pleasure to be able to come before the citizens of this community to talk about myself and explain to them why and the reasons why I want to run for sheriff. Yep. I was born and raised here, raised by my mother and my grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Went to school here, graduated from Lee County High School in 1979. I'm one of Paul Gay's proteges.
Oh,
I played
yeah.
football for Coach Gay.
Oh, wow.
Participated in ROTC.
Yeah.
6 days after graduation, I left, joined the military and left for basic training down in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
While I was down in Fort Benning, Georgia, I was given leadership positions as a squad leader down in the first week of training. And the training usually lasts about 13 weeks.
Sure.
So during that, I was given that leadership position the first week of training.
Early, yeah.
And, I didn't really want to do it, but, drill sergeant left me no choice but to take that job. And I've been in leadership positions all of them.
Yeah.
I retired from the military. During the President Clinton's era, they were doing the downsizing of the military, and everybody had 15 years or more could retire. So I saw that opportunity come up. So I said, this would probably be a good thing for me to do. So I took that thing and I wanted to come back home. So, and the reason why I retired and wanted to come back home because this community has given me so much.
Right.
There were a lot of people who were instrumental in my being the way I am. Not only just my parents, my mother and my grandmother, my uncle, but I had different instructors, teachers. I had Miss Yarborough, I had Carol Cox, I had Ann Collins, I had Miss Betty Thompson. I had teachers like that.
Yep.
Mr. and Mrs. Branch.
Oh, yeah.
They were good. Mr. Branch coached me. And Ms. Branch, I had her for class.
Yep.
And then I had Bobby Gilmore, which, I worked with Mr. Gilmore.
Wow.
He was my coach, too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come back here and I wanted to give back to the community that gave me so much.
Yep.
And one day, one person I want to recognize, too, is Chief Yarborough, Ronnie Yarborough.
Oh, yeah.
Because he gave me my first job.
Oh, with the city.
Yes.
Yes.
He installed that, instilled in me, and he gave me that first job.
Yeah.
Major Wayne Poe. Then I had Roscoe Petty, I had Randy Satterfield, Andy Stone. Man, I had a numerous number of people who are responsible for me being the man that I am.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you began by talking about the leadership and how you benefited from so much leadership. To start with, Coach Paul B. Gay, recently passed away.
Yes.
Prayers to his family and rest in peace. But yes, I like that you had tied that in with what led you to coming back here after your Army career had ended. So certainly, Carlton, the Lee County Sheriff's Office has recently gone through a change in leadership with Sheriff Tracy Carter's retiring, and possibly another change with this election. Yeah. How do you see yourself taking control of this department, and what about your leadership will let our listeners know that you're the best candidate for the job?
Well, one thing about it, any time that a new administration comes in, there are going to be some changes.
Yep.
But I believe in implementing those changes slowly. You just don't go in there and just jump straight off the bat and make those changes. You take your time, you do your inventory to make sure everything is in order like it should be. You get to know your personnel, you get a list of your personnel, you find out who does what and when they do it, and which a lot of them I do already know because of my experience working there. So that's what I would do. And then you just slowly but surely implement your different changes. Because like I said, anytime you have a new administration taking over, there are going to be some changes.
Oh, naturally there should be, right.
Right.
Leadership styles. That kind of
Right.
thing. So what do you feel are the most important issues ahead for the Lee County Sheriff's Department then?
Well, as you can see, man, we've got a lot of developments that are, being built.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of businesses that are coming in here. And what we've got to do, we've got to make sure that we are flexible. As time changes and things change, we have to make sure that we're flexible to meet those challenges that are coming up. And my thing about it is we have to make sure our personnel are trained.
Oh, yeah.
We have to, and see, in the military, we constantly train and train and train, so that any time a situation comes up, you are able to handle that situation. So this is one thing that I would do.
So getting back to how familiar you are with the department as you are currently in the department, do you see any changes that you might consider that could make the Sheriff's Department better?
Well, one thing I that will make, as we look at things have changed a lot. Social media is good. It's good, and we can't take anything away from
Can be good,
that.
can be bad.
And it can be bad. But what I am a people person.
Yeah.
And I believe you have to put that personal touch on things.
Yeah.
You have to get out there. You have to get out there in your community. Get to know the people. Be approachable. Let people come to you and tell you, well, I think this could work better, and this right here is going on. Can you look at it? Always be flexible. Always be approachable. And that way you can get to know your people. And I want, that's what I want those deputies to do. I want them to be able to know the people in the area that they patrol, and then the people can know them in the area that they patrol.
And then I dare say that would lead to accountability. Hopefully,
Yes, it would.
It's a two-way street.
Yes, it is.
Hopefully, between the citizens and the Sheriff's Department.
Right,
Yeah.
because doing recently things have happened, and then some of the citizens have distrust for law enforcement.
Sure. Yeah.
And some disrespect.
Yeah.
And then you have some law enforcement members who, not saying that any of that is going on here, they have disrespect for the citizens, and they don't trust the citizens. What I want to do is there's a gap in between there.
Yeah.
And what I want to do, and what I'm going to do tirelessly, is working on bridging that gap between law enforcement and the citizens of the community. Build that trust back. Okay? Build that respect back. Because, man, it's going to take all of us, everybody, to work together to make this a better community.
It is. So having school resource officers on the county's school campuses has become more important for the safety of our students and peace of mind for the parents.
Yeah.
Please evaluate how you feel that the SRO program is working and what changes, if any, would make it better.
Okay, for one thing, I was a school resource officer.
I thought you were.
I have experience there
Yeah.
as a school resource officer. And school resource officers are an asset to this community and to the school system. Because we always worked on building that rapport with the students, the faculty and staff. Because if you build that rapport with the students and the faculty and staff, you will be surprised, man, at the information that you can get.
Yeah. The implied trust, I would think,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to constantly make sure that our school resources officers are trained. Remember what I said?
Yeah.
When I was in the military, we trained and trained and trained and trained. So if a situation comes up, then we can take care of that situation. And I want the parents to be rest assured that under my command, they're going to be well trained, well trained and well versed in what we need to do.
So knowing that it's important for citizens to have confidence in local law enforcement and that public relations are critical to your success, what ways can your department continue to reach out locally to improve those relations?
Well, one thing you want to do, you want to build up your community policing, because that has a lot to do with it. That also helps put that personal touch on. Go out and do different. Right now, they do different things out in the community. They teach the active shooter. They do testing on. They do that, and then plus we've always had a CIT, which is critical incident training. And this is where you're taught how to work with maybe a person that has mental problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You learn how to, in case there's a hostage negotiation situation that you have to go through. Mm-hmm. You learn how to do all those things. Mm-hmm. And when I was there, we had we made it mandatory for every new man that comes on board. Mm-hmm. They have to go through that training. Mm-hmm. And then they have a second phase of that training to where they update things a lot better than what it was from the beginning. So we want to work on those things and keep those things going, because I think that CIT training is an asset.
Yeah.
With all the things that are going on today.
Have you found that the newer officers just out of basic law enforcement training are better versed in some of this newer stuff?
Yes.
And or on the converse, do you feel that an officer that has been on the force for 10 plus, 15 plus years, are they slow to pick up the new training?
No, they're not slow to pick up. Because when the program was initiated, mm-hmm. all of us had to go through it.
Yep.
Everybody down in the department had to go through it.
Yep.
So you had your people who have been there for a long number of years. They had to go through that training too.
Yep.
Everybody had to go through it.
That's good.
And I give it a lot of credit, because we do have a lot of problems here. We have opioid problems.
Yeah.
We have people with we have the fentanyl problem. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of different things going on, and we have to make sure that we're trained so we can handle the situations as they arrive. Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly managing personnel will be a key responsibility for the Lee County Sheriff. Let our listeners know how you plan to manage your personnel and what goals you would have for department morale.
Yeah, well, one thing about it, I said, I love people, mm-hmm. and I'm an approachable person. Mm-hmm. You can talk to me at any time, and that is how, I've been a manager for a long time.
Yeah.
I've managed personnel. My whole career in the military, I managed personnel. Mm-hmm. I made sure the uniforms were taken care of. I made sure they had the necessary equipment to accomplish the missions mm-hmm. they had to accomplish. I was a drill sergeant for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
While in the military.
Yeah.
And like I said, I went through numerous military leadership academies while mm-hmm. I was in there. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of experience managing personnel. And that was one of the assets that I have. And that was one of the reasons why Sheriff Carter mm-hmm. hired me to be the number 3 man at the mm-hmm. sheriff's office, because, I had that background.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was a number 3 man, the major of field operations. Mm-hmm. I was in charge of all the uniform division. Mm-hmm. I was in charge of courthouse security.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. I ordered the vehicles, did contracts for the vehicles, ordered mm-hmm. the vehicles. When the vehicles came in, my task was to get the vehicles uploaded with all the equipment mm-hmm. right. so that car be ready for that deputy, take that car and go out and do his job.
Right.
You have to always make sure that your people, in order for them to be able to do an effective job, mm-hmm. you got to keep your morale up. You got to sit there and you got to think about different things that might build the morale up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, man, building morale up is for a deputy to have a brand new car,
Oh, interesting, yeah.
It will build that. Yeah. And then you make sure the uniform.
It'd make me feel better.
Yeah. And then have that personal touch with your people.
Yeah.
Learn your people. Talk to your people. See what makes them function,
Well, and this might be a difficult question we're going to mm-hmm. ask anyways, is do you feel that morale as a whole at the Lee County Sheriff's Department is good, is adequate, is high, is low? How do you think it is for your fellow deputies?
Right now, from what I know now, it's adequate right now.
Okay.
But you have to do different things in order to build that morale up.
Yeah, entirely.
You have to do different things. Like I said,
which is true in any work environment.
Yeah, yes, in everyone.
And we're speaking of the Sheriff's Department, mm-hmm. but yes, people have to, that are collecting monies known as wages to be there,
right.
They have to like it as well, because mm-hmm. they have choices to be elsewhere if they want to.
And you got to get it to the point to where your people know that you care about them.
That's right.
You
mm-hmm.
got to be that way, because in the Army we had this thing called taking care of your people mm-hmm. and accomplishing the mission.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was the concept.
2 different things. Yeah,
you keep that morale built up, mm-hmm. and it doesn't take a whole mm-hmm. lot to build that morale up. Mm-hmm. There's little small things that you can do to build that morale mm-hmm. up.
So some of these questions you've answered already, but if you can kind of drill down and tell us, if elected, what your major goals are as sheriff for the upcoming term.
And for one thing, like I said, we have an opioid problem here. We have a mental patients problem here. We do have that going on with all this astronomical stuff going on. Mentally, it's affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have an open door policy. You can always come in and talk to me. And if you see me on the street anywhere, don't be afraid to come and talk to me. Talk to me and tell me what's going on. Come to me, talk to me and tell me if there's something that you don't agree with. Talk to me about it, or come down in the office and talk to me about it. Because, like I said, I'm going to have an open door policy, and I want the people to realize that I am for the people of this community.
So, Carlton, for two of the very big topics that you mentioned, which might be the opioid and/or fentanyl,
Right,
and handling the mentally ill population.
Right.
That would probably require you to interact with the state regulatory
Yes.
bodies and meaning things outside of Lee County.
Yes,
So it's not just contained within Lee County, it's state and federal agencies
That's
as well.
right.
So do you find it difficult, or does the Sheriff's Department find it difficult to interact with those?
no. It's
Oh,
not
no?
difficult
Okay.
at all.
I'm glad to hear
It's
that.
not difficult. It's like I said, I'm a very approachable person, and you talk, I listen.
Yeah.
And then we can get together. We may have a difference of opinions, but I feel that if you talk and you listen,
Yeah.
and you both talk to each other, then you can come up with a solution.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing about coming up with a solution.
So, Carlton, we thank you for your time today with today's interview. On behalf of the station, we wish you the best in the upcoming election. Any final comments you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I'll just say I'm from here. I love this community. You know, I've been to different places all around the world, different places, but I always had that thing in me. I want to go back home.
Yeah.
I want to go back home because I'm proud of this place.
Yeah.
I'm proud of this community. I'm proud of the people in this community. I love this place.
Carlton, as a proud daddy, I've got one in college and one a senior in high school at Lee County High as well. And I'm smiling for those of you that are not watching this video but listening to us, because I have the same pride about Sanford.
That's right.
And I think our listeners can hear the dad in me come out, because the kids that want to leave, they want to leave.
Yeah, they want to.
And they might not boast about the fantastic growth opportunities that are happening in Sanford and Lee
That's
County,
right.
but they are, because the familiarity is not a good thing for them.
Yeah.
They think that the grass is greener somewhere else.
Yeah, because like I mentioned Chief Yarborough and
Yeah.
Roscoe Petty and Randy
Yep.
Satterfield and Andy Stone. I mentioned them, and they always taught me when I came into law enforcement, don't do for one
Oh, yeah.
that you won't do for the other,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and treat people the way you want to be treated.
That's just about the golden rule right there.
That's the golden rule, my
It is.
man.
It
That
is.
is the golden
Yeah.
rule.
Well, thank you, Carlton.
I thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
sir.
So I join Sandhills Broadcasting and Brick Capital Video, and thanking Carlton Lyles for talking with us today. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk with Lee County Sheriff's candidate Brian Estes